Very good morning to everybody joining in. Welcome to the Outside View Live. We are building up to the first ODI between Australia and India. It's the start of the tour as well. And the signs are being quite good. Australia have won the toss and have opted to bowl first. We'll build up to that first ODI. I have with me Ananya, Upendran, as well as Sonia, Dabir. Let's get Sonia's thoughts first. Sonia, it's deemed to be a fresh wicket. We saw clips of the pitch report where Ellis Villani said that it's a belter of a pitch. On that backdrop,
Excited to be here for the outside preview for India Australia. I guess looking at the wicket and the practice match, I guess they have played there itself. So it is not a new pitch or a wicket for the Indian batters. So it won't be that difficult for them looking at the way they played their practice game, even though few of the top batsmen were not in runs. But I'm sure they're looking forward to get into runs today itself.
Ananya, hashtag Team Pacer. It's indeed probably a very good morning for you because we are seeing that Hannah Darlington is set to debut for Australia. Your thoughts on that?
I guess.
It's a big thing for her. I mean, you think about, we didn't think that she would feature in this ODI series because you assumed that Nicola Carey would take that position. But it's a big day for Hannah Darlington. I mean, Australia, I feel like, have gone for like replacements where you have Nicola Carey, a medium pacer, skiddy, someone who's very good with her change-ups, but also is very handy at the death. So, you think Australia without Megan Schutt, without Nicola Carey, Hannah Darlington kind of slides into the same mold, and they're clearly looking at someone who can dry up the runs at the back end. So big day for her, really excited to see how she takes to international cricket because she's been outstanding through the WBPL, been one of Sydney Thunder's main bowlers over the last couple of seasons. So, it's going to be interesting to see how she makes the step up to international cricket.
Yeah, more thoughts about that Australian 11 because we also see Talia McGrath there. There's also Darlington. So that's a very stretched batting order. We already know how strong Australia are in their batting department, Ananya. But you look at McGrath, you look at Darlington, and you look at all the others, and you think, will any score be enough for India there?
Yeah, well, that's always the case with Australia. I mean, they've always had a very, very deep batting lineup, especially after that 2017 World Cup. You look at the transformation within that side, the number of all-rounders, multifaceted players they have. So I'm really happy to see Talia McGrath in the mix. She's been on the sidelines for a very long time, very high-quality batter, very good bowler as well. I heard Megan Schutt yesterday talk about how her in-swinger has come a long way. So, without Megan Schutt, the likes of Talia McGrath, Hannah Darlington could be a handful with the ball, especially the swing that they get, regardless of when they're bowling. So it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure how much India will need. I feel like they need to be around 280 at least to challenge that top six of Australia because that top six is set in stone. They've achieved huge things, know how to chase down totals. So I feel like India need to be closer to that 280, maybe 300 mark.
Yeah. You've spoken about how India is a batting country, and by virtue of the toss, India are batting first, which means I probably think that there'll be very few who kind of switch their alarm off and go back to sleep because you look at that Indian 11. There are 3 debutants: Yastika Bhatia, Richa Ghosh, as well as Meghna Singh. Sonia, your thoughts on that Indian 11? 3 debutants in the very first ODI should probably help in settling those nerves first up, isn't it?
Actually, I guess it's really unfortunate that Harmanpreet misses out. But definitely, Yastika has shown some good batting performance in the practice match. And about Richa Ghosh, she's been good when it came to 2020. So I guess she has that confidence of playing in the 11. So it will help her in this ODI as well. And Meghna Singh, I've seen her play in the domestic circuit. She's a very good bowler, actually. And she can bat, so it will definitely help the team. Kind of strengthening the lower order bat. It will help the team in getting few runs as well. So I guess pretty good lineup, you can say.
Yeah, indeed. You were with us during the South Africa series at home. We were talking about how that middle order has been a suspect, no quick starts, and then the acceleration towards the end has been missing. In that backdrop, your thoughts on that middle order featuring Yastika Bhatia, Richa Ghosh as well, and I think Deepti Sharma might also feature in there. And how do you think will that take effect with this batting order?
I guess it will be like they'll have to revolve around, the batters will have to revolve around Mithali and Dipti Sharma to a certain extent when it comes to middle order, because like according to me, if you ask me, that Mithali should come in at number 3, because it is not a new position for her. Just because Yastika is come in, and that doesn't mean Mithali should bat at number 4. She should continue batting at number 3. Now there is Yastika, and then there is the cover of Dipti Sharma, who knows how to play with those middle order and the lower middle order. And when you have Pooja Vastrakar, who has just scored a half century with in the practice match, that should not be a problem getting runs as well as staying there for in the middle overs.
Yeah, Ananya, that's a fair point that Sonia makes, that Mithali could bat at 3, because we've spoken about this a lot during the England series, that Deepti Sharma and strike rates, not the best of friends, but we know that she can give that stability when needed. And we also witnessed that in the warm-up when she walked in at 5 for 106 and then stitched that lovely partnership with Yastika. So Ananya, your thoughts on where Mithali Raj should bat? Should it be at 3 or should it be at 4?
Well, I think she should bat at 3. She's kind of that kingpin of the batting lineup. It's a lot like Meg Lanning, where the innings revolves around her. So you'd rather her walking in at 10 for 1 than 10 for 2, and then controlling that innings from there. So I think, we saw in the practice match, she did come up at number 3, and although she didn't get runs, I think that's the position that she should continue to bat through the series and going into the World Cup, because everyone knows the importance of Mithali Raj's wicket. They know that she's the one who's going to shepherd the rest of the lineup. And regardless of whether Harmanpreet Kaur is there or not, I think she should continue to bat at 3, because like you've all said, there is the security of Deepti Sharma at number 5 or 6. And then you have the firepower now of Richa Ghosh, Sneh Rana, Pooja Vastrakar. Jhulan Goswami can hit a long ball as well. So there are people down the order who can get runs. So you'd rather Mithali Raj take time, and she knows how to pace her innings. So you'd rather she comes in at number 3.
And do you think that this will kind of be a better batting order, because not necessarily the experience is there, but you look at those names, Yastika, there's Richa as well towards the end. The firepower seems to be there, at least on paper. So you think that could kind of translate into performance in the first ODI?
Well, look, I don't think India has ever had an issue with how their lineup looks on paper. The lineup on paper has always looked extremely strong. I mean, you draft in Harmanpreet Kaur, you draft in Jemimah Rodrigues. It's an extremely strong lineup. The issue has been how they translate it on the field. So, hopefully today they find, the missing pieces they need. It will be interesting to see how Yastika kind of approaches her innings, because at the end of the day, this is the number 1 team in the world. She's making her international debut. There are going to be a lot of nerves. She spent the entire tour, the series against South Africa, on the bench, watching the senior batters kind of fumble their way through that series. So it will be interesting to see how she goes. But India have never been short of quality. It's how they translate that on the field that's been the issue.
Yeah, ever since Shafali Verma made her debut in 2019, every time an Indian team featuring her steps up, it's always been there've always been talks about her, about how she will approach, whether it be the test match that we saw in England. Sonia, on that sense, how do you think she'll perform? Because last year in the T20 World Cup in Australia, we saw the best of Shafali probably, and she's again coming back to Australia. So your thoughts on how she could go?
I don't think there will be any change in her approach, because whether it's a test match or a T20, she knows what her job is, and more than that, it's I guess she's made it pretty simple. Watch the ball, hit the ball. So I don't think it will change. Definitely now when you see her playing, it's seen that she has got that sense of responsibility towards her, and she's actually enjoying that responsibility, because debut and 95. It was like amazing. So in an ODI, I don't think she'll have any other different approach. She'll continue with the same approach, and it will be better for her, because if she changes or try to do something else, it will not suit her. So better continue with what you are good at. So I don't think she'll change anything, and she should not actually.
Indeed. Ananya, Shefali Verma versus Darcy Brown, one of the key battles that we picked in the squad analysis as well as the preview. Your thoughts?
Like, extremely excited to see how that goes, because Darcy Brown is going to come in and bowl short pitch deliveries. Australia have been very clear of how they're going to use her. She is their enforcer. She's going to bowl short, sharp bursts. And we saw in her first series against New Zealand, she came in and bowled 120, more than 120 in her very first over. So she's going to come and really crank it up early on. So I'm keen to see how Shefali faces that short ball. We saw in England that she was backing away, that she was exposing her stumps, and that led to her messing up her footwork, losing her, I suppose, position at the crease, and losing her wicket then. So I'm interested to see how Shefali faces her, but it's going to be a very, very interesting battle for sure.
That 11 that Australia have named, Ananya, I'm pretty much clear that Ellis Perry and Darcy Brown might share that new ball. And in that sense, who do you see being the Catherine Brunt of Australia? Because that Brunt versus Shefali was almost the narrative that the England-India series played on. So who could be the Brunt for Australia?
Well, I mean, look, if you look at this lineup, equivalent, I suppose, Brunt, you would say Perry, but I don't think... looking at this lineup, I feel like it could be Darcy Brown, but then again, on the flip side, Darcy Brown could maybe ruffle her up and Perry comes in and takes the wicket, because she is a much smarter, much more experienced bowler. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say Elise Perry, because I feel like Darcy Brown is probably going to do the donkey's work and scare Shefali, and then Perry is going to come in and nip her out. So.
Yeah, that's a good thing. But 3 debutants for India: Yastika, Bhatia, Richa Ghosh, as well as Meghna Singh. When you talk about Australia, there's 1 debutant in Hannah Darlington. Sonia, your thoughts on that Richa Ghosh's selection ahead of Tanya Bhatia? Where do you stand? I mean, we saw through the South Africa series yet again that Sushma Verma was preferred. There was no Tanya Bhatia at that time in the squad. And then during the England series, Tanya did come back, but then now India are looking at Richa Ghosh probably in the 50-over format as well. So in which side are you, Bhatia versus Ghosh?
Actually, I will definitely say I'm a little bit of surprise, but then I feel that Richa Ghosh, they might have chosen, or they might are thinking about her just because of her batting capabilities. Maybe that she's have a bit of 1 or 10 or 15% ahead of Tanya Bhatia, and that's the only reason she might be there. Because even for the T20s, when she was, it was Richa Ghosh turn to keep wickets. We saw the way she batted in T20s as well. So that's maybe the point which they have thought, and that's the reason she is into 11, making her debut. I feel that's the only thing, just that batting element for Richa Ghosh, which has helped her get the place.
Yeah, I kind of get where that surprise stems from, because the Indian teams in recent past, we haven't seen the ability to, throw a surprise like this take the side of an aggression over a stability. So that's where this comes in. But Ananya, no Shikha Pandey, a big, if because we heard Ramesh Pawar say that she is fit, everybody apart from Harmanpreet Kaur are fit. There's no Shikha Pandey, there is Meghna Singh. So #Team Pacer, and kind of your thoughts.
Look, I'm extremely surprised that they've left out Shikha Pandey. I mean, she was extremely successful in that T20 World Cup. She's enjoyed in the past bowling in Australia, and she's done well against them. During that 170, when Harman's innings, all the focus was on her, but you forget that Shikha Pandey bowled 8 overs for 17 runs, picked up 2 crucial wickets. So I think I'm very, very surprised that she hasn't made the 11. But again, I'm hoping, while the Indian team management did say that everyone's fit, I'm hoping that it's probably a case of maybe she's not quite at 100%. So maybe they're kind of trying to rest her and make sure that she's there for the back end of the series. But again, again, having said that, I guess India traveling with Meghna Singh, you kind of felt like she would play because she has been part of that railway squad. Mithali Raj knows what she can do. She is that tall pacer that Ramesh Pawar has been calling for. She bowls at a fair clip, has a good bouncer as well. So there are a lot of good attributes around Meghna, and I think she could, cause a few surprises. But my only concern is that India now don't have a seamer who can bring the ball into the Australians, and that's something that's caused them a lot of issues in the past. You look at all three of the seamers they have. I know Jhulan Goswami does have the ball that nips back in, but she primarily takes it away. You have Pooja Vastarkar, who's an outswinger, now Meghna Singh, who's an outswinger. Australians feed off width. So I think India will have to be very, very disciplined with their lines. But again, excited to see what Meghna brings. There will be a lot of nerves, of course, and against a team that knows how to play seam, she will be challenged for sure.
Yeah, that's a fair point that there aren't too many in-swingers in that Indian bowling attack, but India is batting first because Australia have won the toss and chosen to bowl. Sonia, this batting lineup that India has kind of selected today has 3 left-handers, which is again a welcome move, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Having left-handers is always welcoming move in any side. It definitely creates, when that disturbance when you are bowling, especially when they rotate the strike. It kind of course, not tiring, I will say, but definitely change of field placements every now and then. It definitely creates a bit of disturbance when you are bowling or even when you are fielding. So definitely having 3 left-handers is always welcoming.
Indeed, Ananya, we've talked about this New Zealand side with only Amy Satterthwaite as the left-hander, and that's why that Brooke Halliday's entrance was welcomed. Similar move, you think, in selecting Yastika Bhatia, because we have India have Jemima Rodriguez as well as Poonam Raut on the bench.
Well, I think one of the reasons Yastika could have been preferred is one, she did score runs in that practice game, but also what we've heard is that through the camp in Bangalore, she showed great intent through those open match sessions. That she was very strong off the back foot. Was hitting well, over the top as well. So that's probably one of the reasons that India feel like maybe let's just throw her in and see how she goes, because at the end of the day, it is also kind of they're trying to build a larger squad going into the World Cup. So it will be interesting to see how she goes. There's a lot of, expectation that she'll probably come in with. But again, left-hander, always good for India, I think.
Right, there you go, minutes away from the first ball. So let's kind of move towards putting our guests in a bit of a bother. Again, just to remind you all, Australia have won the toss and are bowling first. They have one debutant in Hannah Darlington, who's known for her change of pace as well as accurate bowling. We've seen her do well in the WBBL and in the T20s. So this is going to be interesting to see how she does in the 50-over format. And talking about India, there are 3 debutants for them, that RICHA Ghosh, Yastika Bhatia, and Meghna Singh, the pacer. So 4 newbies to international cricket in this first ODI. So, right, let's put Sonia as well as Ananya in a spot. Sonia, first thoughts from you. I'm going to ask you the prediction because I know Ananya is not someone who likes predicting. So, what could be the score that India would be putting is my question to you.
Actually, rightly said by Ananya that they have to look to cross 250, because the batting order which Australia has, definitely they should be crossing 250, because now it's like these days 250 is also changed pretty easily. And I'm sure looking at the World Cup, India will start building up those big scores, which will help them in the World Cup as well. So I guess 250 should be the target they should be looking to score.
So 250 is your prediction, and I'm going to take it as that. But the signs seemed good in that warm-up game. They were chasing 270 odd, and they ended up close to 245, 246. So yes, chasing, putting that score is good. So probably a fresher or pressureless batting.
The top order not getting runs. So ideally they should be crossing 250 now.
Yeah, indeed. So 250 plus. Ananya, your pick for the performer of the first half. because newbies as well as the experienced pro, who are you going to pick for someone who'll do well in this innings?
I think insurance policy, you always pick Mithali Raj. But her aside, India are batting first, so I'm going to say Shafali Verma. Whether she gets a big score or not, I think will have a big impact in those first 10 overs. So I'm going to go Shafali Verma.
Yeah, Shafali Verma is the name. I mean, you look at her perform well in the first games of every series and you think that this should be her day. So yeah, Shafali Verma. Let's see where this conversation goes. We'll pick up this chat in the mid-match show on this show, The Outside View. Thanks, Sonia. Thanks, Ananya, for joining. Do all tune in the mid-innings show then.